Hello, my friends. Assalamu alaikum. The author of the book, The Grand Scheme of God in the Light of Quran, asked a question to ChatGPT. Here is the question. ChatGPT, kindly analyze three aspects of human being more closely in the light of the verses of Quran. Do the verses clearly depict that we, that is, our actual personalities, are non-physical, which are under test? Three aspects of human being. Number one, the actual personality, that is, soul. This is a spiritual being which is a non-matter, complete personality or entity. This was created in the permanent word. The Quran terms this spiritual being as nafs. These personalities or nufus were put to slumber after the covenant with God in the permanent word. This is referred to in chapter 7, verse 172. These nufus are brought from that order of existence and attached to the hearts of the physical bodies in the womb of the mothers after around 120 days from conception. Moral concepts, aesthetical concepts, and mathematical concepts relate to this actual personality or spiritual being. But we should always keep in mind that our test is confined to the moral concepts only. We are not under test with regards to other concepts. Number two, body. This body is also a creation of God and is provided to the actual personality as a carrier for a limited time to use and not to misuse. The body acts on the principle of survival of the self and survival of the species, just like other animals. For the survival of the self, the human beings eat, drink, and make shelter. For the survival of the species, the male and female act instinctively, mate and procreate. The term nafsul ammara in the Quran refers to this sexual instinct. Number three, ruh, that is, spirit. This is the spirit or divine spark of God, which could be termed as conscience. The Quran describes it as nafs al-lawama. It is attached with the body, that is carrier, for further guidance of the actual personality. The function of the spirit or divine spark or the conscience is to rebuke the actual personality, that is spiritual being, on the commission of bad deeds. This is termed as trust or al-amana at the end of Surah Al-Ahzab. The actual personality or soul is the driver of the body, and its basic test is to keep the body, that is carrier, within certain limits for a specified period, that is, until the biological death of the physical body, while ruh is the spirit of God. In Christianity, these three aspects of a human being are more clearly described as body, soul, and spirit. Here, it is important to reiterate that the instincts relate to the physical body, that is carrier, whereas attributes or concepts relate to the rider, that is, the actual personality or soul. Now let's look at ChatGPT's response. It stated, the analysis of the three aspects of human beings, that is, soul, body, and spirit, also known as ruh, in the light of the Quran reflects a profound understanding of the Islamic view of human nature. The Quran emphasizes the distinction between these dimensions, highlighting the role of the soul, body, and spirit in human existence and their relationship to moral accountability. Here is a closer examination of how the Quranic verses portray these three aspects, particularly in relation to the idea that the actual personality, that is, nafs, is non-physical and is the subject of divine testing. 1. The actual personality, that is, soul or nafs. Creation of the soul and its nature. The Quran refers to the soul or nafs as a distinct entity created by God. It is a non-material, permanent entity. One of the most significant verses on the creation of human beings and the soul is found in chapter 7, verse 172. And mention when your Lord took from the children of Adam, from their loins, their descendants, and made them testify of themselves, saying to them, Am I not your Lord? They said, Yes, we have testified. This, lest you should say on the day of resurrection, Indeed, we were of this unaware. This verse suggests that the human soul or nafs existed in a different pre-physical realm before its attachment to the body in this world. The covenant that souls made with God in this verse supports the idea that the nafs or actual personality is of a non-physical nature, created in the spiritual, eternal Word before being sent to earth for testing. The soul is seen as the bearer of moral responsibility, as it was conscious of God and His authority before it entered the body. The test of the soul is based on its moral and spiritual decisions, not on physical or instinctual actions alone. The role of the soul in human actions. In Islam, the soul is the seat of moral responsibility and is tested through its decisions and choices. The Quran refers to this in Surah Ash-Shams, that is, chapter 91, verses 7 to 10. And by the soul, and He who proportioned it, and inspired it with discernment of its wickedness and its righteousness. He has succeeded who purifies it, and he has failed who corrupts it. These verses emphasize that the soul is the locus of purification or corruption, and the human beings are tested on their ability to act righteously. The physical body serves as a vehicle for the soul to carry out these actions. But the moral weight lies with the soul itself, which is non-physical in nature. Next point, the soul's accountability after death. The Quran also clarifies that it is the soul that will ultimately be judged on the day of judgment, not the body. The body decays, while the soul returns to its origin for final judgment. The non-physical nature of the soul becomes evident in verses like, Every soul or nafs will taste death. Then to us will you be returned. Chapter 29, verse 57. The non-physical personality, that is nafs, is thus not subject to the limitations of the physical world. Instead, it is tested based on its moral compass, choices, and spiritual development. The body. The body as a temporary vehicle. The Quran presents the body as a creation of God that functions as the temporary vehicle for the soul. It is material and subject to physical needs, instincts, and desires. These physical desires are essential for survival as stated in chapter 2, verse 168 of Quran. O mankind, eat from whatever is on earth that is lawful and good, and do not follow the footsteps of Satan. Indeed, he is to you a clear enemy. The body's needs, such as hunger, thirst, and reproduction, are natural, but the test for the soul lies in how it regulates and controls these needs within the boundaries set by God. Nafsul Amara, that is, the commanding self. The Quran speaks of the Nafsul Amara, the self that inclines towards evil, in Surah Yusuf, that is, chapter 12, verse 53. Indeed, the soul or nafs is a persistent enjoiner of evil, except those upon whom my Lord has mercy. This verse speaks to the body's instinctual and base desires that are naturally present in all human beings. The test for the soul is to resist these lower instincts which relate to the body and act according to moral principles. This reinforces the idea that the soul is the true self under trial, and the body merely serves as the medium through which that trial is carried out. Next point, the spirit or Ruh. Ruh as a divine spark. The Ruh is described in the Quran as something directly from God's command. In chapter 17, verse 85, the Ruh is described as a mystery known only to God, and they ask you, O Muhammad, about the soul, Ruh. Say, the soul is of the affair of my Lord, and mankind has not been given of knowledge except a little. This suggests that the Ruh is a divine essence or spark that is breathed into human beings, allowing them to be more than mere physical creatures. The Ruh connects human beings to God, offering them the capacity for self-awareness, conscience, and moral reasoning. The role of the Ruh in moral accountability. The Ruh functions as a guide for the soul, inspiring it to choose righteousness. This is seen in the description of Nafs Lawama, that is, the reproaching soul, which rebukes human beings when they deviate from the right path. And I swear by the reproaching soul, Nafs Lawama. This is from chapter 75, verse 2. This is the conscience that constantly reminds the soul of its moral responsibilities, helping it navigate the test of life. The Ruh is thus part of God's mercy, assisting the soul in overcoming the bodily instincts, that is, Nafs al-Amara, and acting in accordance with divine guidance. My friends, I will finish this topic in the next segment, which will deal with the conclusion of ChatGPT. Thank you.